I'm Sofa, and today I'm going to show you my solution for a vocabulary learning app called Caesar. In this presentation, I will bring you through the design journey and why users will benefit using Caesar, though there exist already a plenty of vocabulary apps. Before I started building Caesar, I reviewed other vocabulary learning apps on the competitive market. I've checked on processes and functions competitive offer to their user, and to make it easy to analyze, I've tested them due to Bobby's goals and needs, my product persona that I will introduce you right after. I can sum up that every app contains the following: a login or sign-up screen, which in case of signing up is always followed by an onboarding process, a home screen, a user profile setting, the opportunity to get notified for a task, language settings, and rewarding the user for his achievements. All apps have different features and functions or tasks they lead their user through. Not all follow the same user goals. Some of them were displayed in a complex way and some were clear directed. The information architecture varied with strong distinctions due to the app's functions. Resumptive, I will also incorporate a visual onboarding after the sign-up to let the user know how the app works and what functions are expectable. I will also offer a function of adding a new word, but with more effective options than I've experienced at my competitors. I will reward the user for his achievements to keep him on track too. This is where we come to Bobby now, the user persona I've created from the user interviews I have conducted. You meet here a 27-year-old young man from Bavaria who is a creative thinker and a convivial companion. He's a next-generation technophobe and always on the go, crossing borders. Bobby is a full-time master's student in architecture, studying and living in Aachen at this time, a border triangle area between Germany, Holland, and Belgium. Beside his studies, he works as a freelancer on cross-border construction projects for the Euregio. You can imagine that his clients are not only German speaker, but Dutch, French, and Flemish too. Well, Bobby is a typical Bavarian guy who got thrown into this lifestyle of multi-languages. Being an Euregio citizen means that you are bilingual or multilingual on daily basis, and this is where we have to help Bobby to learn the vocabulary he needs to. So Bobby's goals and motivations are that he wants to prepare himself for the private and also for business trips abroad with thematical and specific topics. He wants to communicate naturally and with confidence to native speakers. He also wants to learn new vocabulary daily on the go or via electronic device from workplace. And this is a quote that describes Bobby also very good, that communicating with native speakers in their own language is an enrichment for him. So now let's have a look at Bobby's problems. He experienced frustrations, as once the woman in the bakery asked him a few questions in Dutch, and he could not reply or find out what he has been asked. So in this situation, he didn't have a solution to the problem, and he needs a way to become a confident and natural speaker in at least one or two languages, because he wants to communicate effectively with native speakers in his everyday and in his working life due to the border triangle he lives in, what you can see here. The question, how can Caesar help? This is where Caesar comes to help Bobby with his struggles for upcoming situations like the previous mentioned. I believe that by creating an app with effective trainings and simple navigation to words Bobby needs to look up, he can improve his language skills for future conversations to his stakeholders and to people he meets in his everyday life, in the environment he lives and he works in. So, the following future challenges are that as an architecture student, Bobby's always busy working on his projects, and he only got limited time to learn new vocabulary, but at the same time he wants to keep them in mind. And as he's living in that mentioned border triangle, he has to deal with vocabs in Dutch, in French, and Flemish within the same moment. So he needs a dictionary to look these words up and to save them. And it will be best if he can use this on the go then. And he's a very ambitious learner, and this is why why he is looking for a simple and motivative solution to his struggle, but that is fun at the same time. And as he is as he is a technophile, like mentioned before, he wants to be able to add new vocabulary, for example, via his smartphone, and in situations when he's on the go, instead of typing the word manually. So that will save time for him and make him work efficiently. So future challenges like the above mentioned won't be a problem anymore. For example, when Bobby can use the dictaphone of Caesar to let it translate what people are asking him. Here another quote that, he wants an app that can help him in short time to find the definition of a word that he's looking for. So, armed with the knowledge of Bobby's problems and willing to solve these, I started to create user flows for the main process, which were login, sign up, and the onboarding, which you can see above in this sketch. And also setting the language of use and the wanted language for what Bobby wants to look up, let's say in Dutch or in French. Also adding new words, for example in Flemish, and learning methods should also be part of the architecture and also achievements. So from there I took these user flows and I used them to form the first iteration of my wireframing prototype, which you can see right here. So I started to create some low fidelity prototypes, and this is how the first wireframing sketches looked like. At number 4 you can see the home screen. Let's say these two wireframings in the middle. These are showing us the home screen, and we can see that we had a fixed menu bar down and a fixed navigation bar up, and at the menu bar down we had 5 icons, or let's say 5 menus or functions we can type. This is why I have 5 sections down in the down bar. And this is a fixed menu bar, same as the menu bar above. With the 3 icons you can see we have, in the middle center we have a home icon, on the left we have an admin area or profile icon, and on the right we have a setting icon. So anytime the user is in a learning method, in a training, or looking up something, when he wants to go back to his home screen, he can always type the home icon to go back to the home screen. When he wants to change settings or wants to see the onboarding back again, he can tap the icon on the right, so he can enter the settings. This is where he can go to the help desk, see the onboarding back again. He can set notifications, or he can even share some trainings he did, or maybe some achievements. And he can also change the voice settings. And he can from there also go back to his to view his profile. Of course, he can also log out from there. And if he taps the icon with the person on the very left, this is where he comes to the admin or to the profile area. There he can change his photo, for example. He can change to premium account, or also set the language. So if we go back to see here at number 4 the home screen, what is also mentionable is that the center of the home screen shows that we have flexible widgets. So this should be a feature for Bobby, where he can create and design the home screen due to his wishes and needs. And from there we can go to the next screen, which shows us the wireframing of adding a new word. And for example, let's say a situation where Bobby wants or has a vocab he just heard while a meeting with his Dutch client and the designer team, and he wants to look this word up. He goes to the home screen, or wherever he is, he can go to the menu bar very down below, which is always fixed, so it's always available. He can just tap the plus icon in the very middle of the down menu, and if he taps it, it opens the opportunity to add a new word. And as he typed in the word, for example, let's say travel, he has the possibility to add this new word to his personal word pool if he likes to. If he does this, he will enter to the word pool, and from there he can also go back to the home screen. So the word pool was the place where he can find all the vocabulary, and he can take a selection of vocabs even to learning in the next step if he likes to get them deeper in his mind. So this is where we come to the usability testing then for my first prototype, with which I wanted to find out on what works well, or is a good idea, or maybe a bad idea. And I luckily found 3 test users who checked for me the following. I wanted to see if Caesar got an easy sign-up and login process, and if the onboarding process gives the understanding about the main functions of the app. Second, I wanted to see if the design architecture is simple enough but effective so that the user can easily reach his goal, which is in case of Bobby looking up and keeping in mind new vocabulary or words from different languages, let's say for example in Dutch or in French. Further, I wanted to check if a user is able to add new words easily to a word pool and in a short time, to take the vocabs also to a learning method that suits him best. And last but not least, I also wanted to prove if the app is fun, of course, to use, and if it motivates the user to keep on track and to learn new vocabulary. So after I had the first iteration of prototypes ready, I needed to validate my thinking, like I said, by testing the before mentioned functions and the design architecture by real users. So I conducted 10-minute usability testings with 3 test users in person and online. And using the interactive prototypes I have put together in Marvel, test users entered the prototype via their smartphone, so they could enter Marvel via their smartphone, while I used a laptop for taking notes. I also used the Jacob-Nielsen severity scale to categorize and to rank the severity of errors the test user experienced. And further, I have created a 4-task scenario for each test user to go through to cover the user flows I mentioned previously. So now we come after testing, and with the recommendations of my test users in my hand, I found out that, there are things that failed and didn't work well, like I first imagined. So I found out that, for example, you can see on the middle wireframing sketch, I found out that the home screen was just subpar and not smart enough to bring out the most intuitive information architecture to lead Bobby through the functions. On the right, you can see the screen or the sketch for adding a new word, and also this task of looking up or adding a new word in a given situation was not effective and user-friendly enough as it's supposed to be. It didn't make sense how the user's word pool worked. Instead, it seemed like the user flow was not brought to termination. Also, the user, which you can see here in the very left picture of the wireframing sketch, that the test user wished for better presentation and access to the thematical categories. Let's say, for example, if they want to look up a word of the category bakery, if they want to see what is the Dutch word for bread, for example, let's say. So then, after thinking about how to fix these issues, I reconstructed the information architecture, starting the user flow from the home screen, you can see at number 1, and leading the user to the main functions, which are still looking up a word or adding a word, also switch languages. And user now can do this, or Bobby can now do this by swiping if he's on the home screen, by swiping to the left or swiping to the right, either once or twice, depending on where he wants to go. So I found that more intuitive, that when he's on the home screen, he can enter the functions he wants to go, or he wants to look up very fast in a quick situation. That swiping is a very good solution to bring the user to this task or to this function.